This is the place for boomers, Boomer Being, with your host, Leslie Noymer.
Welcome, I'm Leslie Noymer with WATD-FM. Today we're fortunate to have Gregory McLaughin with us to discuss the psychology of financial decision-making. Gregory is a financial planner with Centinel Financial Group in Marshfield. Welcome back, Greg.
Thanks for having me.
The market is extremely volatile. How does volatility affect financial decision-making?
Great question, Leslie. As you know, volatility creates emotions with people, and that could be from watching TV or reading something online or just having a conversation with friends or family members. And market volatility in particular sometimes leads to people getting somewhat irrational and sometimes making poor decisions or choices. So one of the things we think is extremely important to do with clients is to make sure that they stay grounded, that they're prepared, and to remind them often that temporary losses in their portfolio are normal and they're part of every market cycle. You know, it's interesting when you think about how the everyday investor gets in and out of markets. Generally, they get in when prices are high and things are good because that's how we feel like things are going in the right direction. And they oftentimes get out when things are rocky and prices are low, which is obviously the opposite of what we suggest people to do. And JP Morgan, their asset management group, did a really interesting study. Their 2014 guide to retirement showed that an investor, if they stayed in the S&P 500 from 1993 to 2013, they averaged 9.2% per year on their returns. And amazingly, in that 20-year spectrum, if they missed the 10 best days in the market because they were trying to get in and out, that dropped to 5.4%. Obviously, a dramatic shift and change. So it's really important to stay the course and make sure that you're not making irrational or emotional decisions.
You wrote an article for Advisor magazine entitled, "How Can I Improve My Financial Life? The Connection Between Habits, Outlook, and Long-Term Thinking." Would you summarize for our listeners the substance of this article?
Sure. I'm going to focus on one. I'm going to focus on habits, and then I'll weave in the other two towards the end. And the study I came across was actually, interestingly enough, about comedian Jerry Seinfeld. And it talked about, he was interviewed, and they asked him what made him a successful comedian. And his response was that he wrote jokes every day. But he took it one step further, and he kept a calendar on his refrigerator, and every day that he wrote jokes for an hour or two, he would X it off. And he wanted to kind of keep that momentum going because he knew that the compounding effect of writing jokes week after week, month after month, year after year would give him great success. And obviously that worked very well for Jerry. And I think you can certainly connect that to investing. Anytime you talk to someone or meet someone who has had success, they have great habits. They got in the habit probably young of investing. And if you compound that with having a positive outlook, having a growth mindset of seeing, can I save 1% more this year? Can I save an extra $50 a month? And the combination of those three things together really makes a tremendous difference towards your long-term goals.
Lastly, clients often ask you for simple and actionable ways to improve their financial lives. What would be your takeaway regarding actionable suggestions for our listeners?
Sure. There's two things I would focus on that are pretty simple. One is revisit your plan. Have you done that lately? Are you prepared for the next wave, the next market cycle? So about a month ago, my kindergarten came home and she said that she did something that I remember doing as a kid, and they did a fire drill at school. And my question to the listeners would be, when was the last time you did a fire drill? When the markets go down, are you prepared? Could you actually articulate to friends and family members what your investment strategy is? What is your plan of action? And if the answer is no to those questions, you really, really need to revisit that and feel comfortable with what your plan and strategy is. And if you need to take that one step further, I heard this idea about a dozen years ago, and that's write yourself a very simple letter, put it in your top right-hand desk drawer and write, "In case of emergency, please open." And write to yourself that, I know my plan is sound, I've thought things through, and if I'm reading this letter right now, I'm probably emotional and thinking about making an irrational decision. And I know I should stay the course. So the combination of those two things, I think, will keep everybody on track and help them have a better chance of achieving their long-term goals.
Some outstanding advice for sure. Don't have an emotional reaction.
Yes, please do not.
Well, thanks so much for sharing your expertise with us. Greg offers financial planning services and securities through Signature Investors, Inc. Listeners can go to GregoryMcLaughlin.com to reach out to Greg for more information. Thanks for joining us on the Boomer Being Show.
This has been Boomer Being on WATD.